we don't have to talk about it, but I'm just saying, relationships at a certain point are all transactional.
Not to the level of prostitution. That's like I hate when people be saying, oh, like not
Like the
a
red pill
direct
argument.
transaction. That's different because from which desire is coming from is not because somebody paid for something.
But as women, you with a rich dude, you get like you may not sell your body, but you get, taken on dates, and it's a test to see if you have enough security and value to have their child and raise it, which is in a way prostitution.
I mean, I don't think that's prostitution at all. Like, I don't
Okay,
think seeking
I'm
security.
stretching it a
I don't
little
think
bit.
seeking security. Yeah, I don't think seeking security is. Plus, if that were the case too, then a lot of rich dudes would never get broken up with. A lot of chicks leave dudes that have money.
Because they get half of it.
Nah, even some that don't even get married to them.
Prostitution with extra steps. But they live that lifestyle. Like,
Yeah, but that's prostitution.
okay, when you're a prostitute, you fuck dudes for money. You get pretty good
Yeah,
money, like as that or a stripper, but it's kind of
I don't think
degrading.
so.
Um,
It's the most degrading.
okay, but you do it for
Yeah.
money so that you can live a certain lifestyle or better your lifestyle because you're earning money. So what's the difference hypothetically if you're dating a rich dude
Nah.
or
I,
who brings a certain lifestyle?
yeah, but you have to look at it from the chick's perspective. Like, they don't like the person because they're paying them, or not. They're paying them. Like, if a girl's with a man,
Right, they don't like them.
she doesn't like him for his money in her own head. Like, it may appear that way on the outside, but in her own head, that's not the reason. Especially if she's like staying with him for an extended period of time.
I get that. But she may just be fooling herself because she's so happy in the moment because she's living a life that she would not have by herself.
Oh, absolutely.
But it also could just be that he's a high value man and just money comes with that many a
Or
time.
or or the money that came out was just a representation of the qualities that she sought after.
Right. I get that. For sure. Um
But I don't have that like dark of a viewpoint on it. Although like I can't understand why people go through that like line of reason, but I and I've ran it through my head and I was thinking about it, I was like, no, that's not the case. But I also make it a point to say that it's better off if the person doesn't know that you have money. Then you can evaluate them that way. And then if they pass that, then, they can be made aware of the fact that you're decently well off or maybe really well off.
I agree. And is that a reason why a lot of relationships start when they're young and like last when they're young? Because it kind of is foundationed upon like you just like each other, as opposed to when you're an adult. I feel like it's just hard to meet people in general, like not even opposite sex. So a lot of girls just kind of the first check box is, you got to have money, and so they might like you only for that.
The older the chick is, yeah, that's for sure.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like my opinion on that just gets like deeper because I think past a certain like age, it's kind of hopeless because the chick is just hopeless in terms of like an older chick because they're constantly putting like the dude up against like he's basically like fighting against a ghost, which is like her past of like, oh, I want someone that doesn't do this, this, and this. So it just becomes like this massive checklist of a human being that doesn't exist. And then they complain that they're miserable and they can't find anybody when it's like, yo, you're trying to find somebody that doesn't exist. Like you're, and
Right.
then they get mad at younger chicks and, you know, they try to shame like dudes that are their age that don't want them. And it's just, they just have a miserable existence overall.
Yeah, I mean that's biology, right? If
Yeah,
you
I mean, I don't really feel bad for them. It's like you know, you were misled maybe societally, but you made your decisions. You knew what you were doing, and now you're in a position where you don't have the leverage and you want a crazy good deal. It just doesn't work like that.
That's why I think this red pill movement, yeah, it's a little bit overboard, but like people are taking at least some pieces from it that are true, such as there's been this feminist movement where like women are working and being career women until 40 and then they didn't even have a kid and then they're miserable, or a lot of them are, because obviously some women just don't want to have kids. I know some girls who don't want kids right now and they're like going off to sex parties and like living their best life, and I'm like, okay, in 10 years you
They're
call
gonna
me.
regret it.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a dude that says like, "Oh, he never wants to get married," but it's like, bro, you're gonna be like 60, like trying to chase hoes. Like, what are you doing?
Right. I already feel like that because there are times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to, I want to be single. Hopefully my girl doesn't see this shit. But um, then I realize, like, damn, whenever I go out, like, it's actually hard to get chicks unless you talk to them prior, like DM them. And I'm just
Nah, it's easier to get chicks in real life because nobody talks to chicks in real life now, and
that might
everybody's
be true.
DMing
Yeah,
chicks. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's still like difficult in terms of just the sheer numbers, but also like the game has changed a ton since you were like in a relationship.
definitely.
Like it's so bad now.
Such as
It's
how.
so bad. Just in terms of just like mentality, like just basically like a lot of young people. I won't just say chicks. They're in America, their brain and their opinions are just what TikTok is or what social media is.
Well, that's why I
And
said you have to talk to them on like through Instagram DMs because they have to check out if you're a school shooter.
I think that's easier to assess in person though, especially for a chick.
What about dudes like what's that one show it has Joe the weirdo? Um
I don't know. Was it an older show?
he's a stalker. No, it's a new one on Netflix. He's a stalker.
Oh, I haven't
You.
watched it.
Oh, so he acts all normal in person, but then he stalks their social medias. I'm sure there's hella people like that.
Yeah, of course. But if that was a regular, if that it wouldn't make a difference though in terms of like you couldn't suss that out if you knew the person's social media profile. Like,
But okay, someone in the chat made a good point. If you don't have an Instagram and you try to talk to a girl and like you try to get their number or whatever, like they'll think you're a freak. They'll think you're a weirdo.
it depends. Some, yeah, that's true.
I
But
mean,
like in my personal life, I don't have an Instagram.
right. So not that, I understand there are girls who don't care about the social media, but a lot of those bitches are ugly, let's be real.
Nah, it's not the case.
I
It's
think
it's so
so.
not the case. It's not the case at all. This is because number one, you have a girl right now, right? Number two, you're in Miami. So those are two
Yeah,
things
I'm
that
biased.
warp your perception. And the same thing I say to every rapper, every entertainment person, everybody that uses clout to get chicks. It's like, what do you expect? They're, of course, you got them because they like social media.
But
So why would you be surprised?
don't you want to seek out women who like know how to seek out value? Because if if you're talking to a girl who doesn't care about the clout or money, like at a certain point, like I understand you don't want her to be superficial, but that just means that she's not of high value, right?
I don't know. I have a totally different view of the whole high value thing, especially when it comes to chicks. Like the thing is, chicks that grew up well off, and it doesn't mean they're rich. Like let's just say she had two parents that were upper middle class. They're not, and they were raised well. They're not gonna care. Like they might be like, oh, that's cool, but it's not something that is, like on their priority list. But if they're seeking that, then it's more reason to be concerned.
If they aren't,
If they're constantly seeking dudes that have clout or money,
I mean,
and that
yeah,
means it's more difficult to understand their motives.
I think there's just a threshold. There definitely has to be a threat. Like I have a good friend who's a girl, and she was dating a guy who was like 30 something. Mind you, she's my age, she's 26, and
Hmm.
she had to break up with him because she was living where I was at the time, and he was in, I want to say, Colorado, being a park ranger, and he literally could not afford to move with her to the city because he wasn't making enough money, and she just had to break it off because if she's to have kids soon because her biological clock is running, like she, that she's gonna have to have a job and everything to support that kid. So as a woman, you kind of have to look for money.
No, because why would she? Why would she have to live in Miami? Is my
She
is
wasn't
my
living in
reasoning.
Miami, but I get your point. Like she can live somewhere less.
She could live in Colorado where the dudes live in.
Right. She could.
So what would be, so like I would just dig in further. What would be the reasoning for her not living in Colorado?
Maybe friends and just I don't know.
Okay, so let's just say friends, right? So that means she values her friendships more than
The
the man
relationship.
that she would marry. Which, do you think that's a good thing in
No.
terms of like hierarchy? Yeah, so that's just her. I'm not saying she's wrong for doing anything. I'm just saying her
It's just her
priority was
preference.
clearly not her man and getting married and having a kid. It's perhaps, oh, my friends, and then I would like this man to be able to fit into my life in that way.
But does
But that's
money
something.
not fix a bunch of problems?
Money fixes problems, yes. Money fixes money
So
problems,
why
which are the majority of problems people have.
so why would a girl not want to seek money? If I was a girl, I would seek money. I wouldn't like make it a, the utmost priority, but it would have to be on the checklist. I
Yeah,
don't
but you're
fault them for
you're
that.
thinking like a man. So you're thinking like a man in terms of like, yeah, I would seek money.
True.
But I don't
Okay,
think
step
I
into
don't think
the
they're seeking it
Yassine chick
beyond.
mind. What do you think they're looking for?
I don't think most of them are thinking about money, because all right, we'll just go completely off of Miami, right? We'll just go completely off. A lot of these chicks in Miami are retarded, and they think that the guy that they were with was like a millionaire when the guy was probably making like 50K. He just made it seem like he had a ton of money.
That's true.
So,
Literally everybody in
so
Miami's flexing. I'm like, dude, I know that that's a fake watch or some shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like three dudes making a payment on one car, they're swapping it out on different days. Like it's ridiculous. Like
No, it's
I even
facts.
know a person. I even know a person that, well, he does make, like, let's say he makes 500, right? 500K. It'll seem like the chicks think he makes 10 million plus. So they're not running the numbers, especially if someone doesn't have a traditional job. But there are some chicks that I think, because the truth is, if you're chasing money, it's just such a small amount of people that have money, and you're just gonna lose because you're gonna want somebody that's loyal and has money, which is like, it's difficult to find. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that's two difficult things to have. in a man.
Okay. I'd still go for money if I was a chick. At least
I mean, I
some.
don't think they're wrong. But the thing is, money isn't going to keep it together. That's what I'll say.
But I think it's like 70 or 80% of divorces are because of financial issues.
Yeah, sure. But
What
having
do
a
you say about
baseline of income, like let's say 60K, is really well off in certain places of Florida. Not really well off, but you don't have to worry about anything.
that? Right.
But that's not rich.
Right. It's like that
So that would be
concept.
sufficient
Past
for
70K,
the
you
money
don't get any
problems.
more happiness or whatever.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get back to
So,
music.
yeah.